they've been put through, they're going to be known as war heroes. I'd like to introduce Daniel Goodwin from San Francisco County. He's a J6 political hostage, and he has an amazing story to tell. And without further ado, Daniel, everyone.
Hello, like you said, my name is Daniel Goodwin. So January 6, 2021, we had an election integrity rally called Stop the Steal in Washington, D.C. So I don't know how many of you were there, but they're still arresting people from that. They haven't stopped. But I want to say that I know there's at least 2 people here besides me who have been arrested for January 6th. One has already been to prison and just recently gotten out, and then the other one is pre-trial. So you guys can wave, we're both over here. If anybody wants to talk to J6ers, you can come talk to me or talk to them. So that's what we call ourselves, J6ers, stands for January 6th. So basically, I went to the Capitol building, you know, like this, but I actually came here for Stop the Steal, and then I also did Stop the Steal in Phoenix and Atlanta. I forget which one was first, but also Washington, D.C. The Capitol in Washington, D.C., by the time I got to the actual building after Trump's speech, he said we were gonna peacefully and patriotically make our voices heard, so that's what we all were intending. We also planned to go to the Capitol. We were expecting a stage like this, and he would give a speech, so we were just trying to get up there and see that. But by the time I got there, I seen a door open, police standing in a line, just standing there, and everyone's meandering in and out. So I don't know what you saw on the news, but that's what I saw. So I walked in through the door, nobody's stopping me, no sign saying no trespassing, and I was in the building for between 30 and 40 seconds. Police officer asked me to leave. I left, obviously, within a few seconds. So that's my story from that day. Same month, FBI Counterterrorism Task Force, SWAT team, actually raids the house, my family, where I was visiting them when I drove back, heading back to San Francisco, and stopped in Texas to visit them. So they bring out, you know, medieval style battering ram and pointing laser, you know, guns at us. They bring us all out, you know, pre-dawn raid, like Roger Stone style. They bring us all out with shackles, except for the last person, my mom, who came out. And so then I was in jail for 3 weeks, and it was obviously pre-trial. They called it COVID quarantine lockdown, so I was under solitary confinement for that 3 weeks. While I was in there, which they had given me 4 misdemeanors, basically trespassing, and then while I was in there, they added a 5th charge, a 20-year felony called obstruction of an official proceeding. It's the same one they gave Donald Trump and many other people. Well, later on, that one got dismissed by the Supreme Court because it's bogus. Well, guess what? Everything about January 6th is bogus. But when I was out after that 3 weeks in jail, I had 13 months of house arrest, still pre-trial. Then after that, with an ankle monitor. Then after that, I had been offered to plead to that 1512 felony charge. I said, of course not. So then they said, okay, well, you could plead to, surprisingly, they said you could plead to one of the misdemeanors, and then we'll drop the felony and the other misdemeanors. So I did that, and that's how I ended up with a 2 months prison sentence. And when I finished that, I had a year of supervision, and during the supervision, they actually added a computer monitoring restriction because they didn't like that I went on a 5-minute segment of Fox News Tucker Carlson. So I appealed that. The appeals court ruled in my favor, sent it back to the DC District Court, and then they actually added the same restriction again. So I appealed it a second time, and the clock ran out. The supervision was over in August. So I finally got permission to come back here, you know, a little bit before that, in February. So I've been here back home since February. In the meantime, I had been in Texas where my family was living. So that's a pretty mild story for January 6ers. One of my friends got the very worst sentence, 22 years. Okay, so there's about I think, around 15 or 1,600 people who have been arrested for January 6th. And so what we're asking for is, if you want to help, go to stophate.com/J6. You can see the calls to action. Prayer, send letters to January 6ers, and help fundraising. So everyone please do that. And what we're demanding from Donald Trump is like 4 things. You know, we want a pardon of innocence, just like General Flynn got, a blanket pardon of innocence for all January 6ers. And we also want, you know, reparations for all of us. We want recognition. There should be a holiday, a monument, awards. And then we also want, you know, restitution, or, you know, some sort of restorative justice. So there should be financial compensation. We spend so much money on these things. And then lastly, retribution. The people who did this to us, they need to be investigated and prosecuted. So God bless you guys. God bless California. God bless America.
God bless you, Daniel. All right, our next speaker is one of our local favorites.